Hey guys, this is Miss Jane, and this is another great episode of ETX Rocks featuring Jerrod Medulla.
From the unknown to the stars, from the couch to the car, from the unheralded and the unheard, to the legends and beyond, it's where we all belong. Yes, this is where it all starts. From every genre, from every plane, this is where the music's played. So tune right in, won't you bring a friend? This is where it all begins. Welcome to the show, let the music flow of every style and creed. And you can bet your socks that ETX rocks, ETX rocks.
All right, guys, so you are tuned in to the #1 resource for independent music in Northeast Texas. We are the ETX ROCKS Show. You're tuned into episode number 280 of the show. We're sitting here in season 3. And, man, we have a huge treat for you guys today. And I have to say congratulations to our guest because as of yesterday, Jerrod Medulla has the current #1 single in the state of Texas. Jerrod, congratulations on that, man.
Man, I really appreciate that. That means a lot.
And the song is called Unbroken Horses. We're going to be talking about it a lot during the interview here, but you were gracious enough to do a couple of acoustic songs for us, and one of them was the new single, or the current single. Tell us about the song. I know that this was written by one of the most famous songwriters ever in the history of music. Tell us about it.
Yeah, man. So we just had my daughter at the hospital, and I'd been up for almost 2 days, and we got home, and I guess I'd sat down on the recliner and just passed out, and all of a sudden my phone started vibrating on my chest, and I looked down, and it's my buddy Mark Powell, which Mark Powell's a great singer-songwriter.
Absolutely.
He hosts a big Outlaws and Legends festival there in Abilene for 8 years, and it's awesome. It's a great fest, man, and I've been blessed to be a part of it. But anyway, so Mark is on the phone, and he said, "Hey, man," he said, "I'm sitting here with Dean Dillon, and we're just passing songs back and forth, and he just played me this song, man, and I told him that I got a buddy that would do a great job with that song, do it justice." And he said, "Dean Dillon, this is Jerrod Medulla, Dean Dillon." And dude, I literally had to pinch myself because I was like, "Man, am I still sleeping?"
Right, yeah.
And he goes, "Hey, how's it going?" So we get to talking, and he goes, "Man," he said, I'm going to send you this song and email it to you. You give it a listen, tell me what you think." He said, "I was going to pitch it to Eric Church, but I'll make you a deal if you record it and it comes out good and you single it." He said, "It's your song." He said, "I give you my word, and that's all a man's got." And I said, "Gosh dang, man." So we had already finished our Suits Me album, right? And we had 10 songs on there. They were mastered, everything done. We're about to start printing them. And I call up the producers, and I'm like, "Hey, guys, we got to put a hold on it." Just got off the phone with Dean Dillon.
Wow.
And they were like, "Cool, man." So they started laughing because it had taken a whole year. It was a year process to get that album done. And they said, "Man, you're not the only guy I know that would, spend so much time on this thing and have it finished up and then say, well, let's go back in." I'm like, "Yeah, I wasn't planning on being calling, So
wow,
we get in there and knock it out, man." And I sent it to him, and he said, "Wow, great job." And I told him, I said, "I'm keeping my word now. I told you, we would single it." So we did.
Well, man, I got to tell you, from the standpoint of somebody who's been listening to your music for a while, this song was built for you.
Cool,
man, I'll tell you what, man, I can't see anybody else playing and performing this song the way you do. I just think it was serendipity that Mark and Dylan happened to be together, and it's really cool that Mark kind of saw that before it was even a thing. So.
Yeah, man. And and so as soon as we got that #1, when the charts came out, I called Mark, before I called anybody, he was my first phone call, and just to tell him thank you, because, he knows just as well as I do that if I wouldn't have got that phone call that night, we wouldn't have been able to put this song out there and And so I just, told him I really appreciated him doing that, so, and it's just awesome. And it's been cool. It still really hasn't soaked in.
We're talking, 2 days ago that you just found out it went number one. And, it's been climbing for a while. It's been on the charts, a couple months, 3 months or so, right?
Yeah, man. It's been out there a while. So we've gotten a lot of good airplay and I just come out of a situation with, a major label deal that we almost signed, man. And so, this thing was right on time to kind of, get me off my poor me, butt and get it in gear. And so now, this number one, it's like, everybody's like, what do you do now? I was like, well, man, I start working 3 times harder than I already was.
No, what you do now is you have consecutive number ones, man.
Yeah, dude. I'm saying, like, man, I try not to take things for granted in life, so I just kind of live in the moment, know, and that's, I'm proud of this one.
And I'm really excited to show our audience this song, and it's completely acoustic. It's, I was just sitting and listening to it. Jerrod just literally just sent these files to us, and I was trying to catch up on them and hear them, and just super cool vibe when they're kind of organic and intimate in the acoustic setting. We're excited to show you all this. It's Unbroken Horses by Jerrod Medulla. Y'all check it out.
I remember some nights that we don't. Wild as hiccup, tying it on, running on. Nothing but you. Back when freedom was our only friend, we were lovers now and again, like a storm just passing through. Unbridled passion, running fast and hard. Unbroken horses, unbroken hearts. Just a couple of wild cards, betting on ourselves. We didn't know what we were doing, just knew how good it felt. Back then there were no fences to keep us apart. Unbroken horses, unbroken hearts. Said we couldn't, but we always did what we wanted. That's how it is, before the mistakes, before all the scars. But I miss those nights, burning through the dark. Unbroken horses, unbroken hearts. Just a couple of wild cards, betting on ourselves. Didn't know what we were doing, just knew how good it felt. Back then there were no fences to keep us apart. Unbroken horses, unbroken hearts. I remember some nights that we don't. Wild as hiccup, tying it on. Unbroken horses, unbroken hearts.
right, so we are back once again. First time on the ETX ROCKS Show. We have Jerrod Medulla on the show from the Dallas area. I'm a little confused. Are you from Dallas or Abilene?
I'm actually from Abilene, born and raised. And, you know, I lived in different college towns. I went to San Angelo, and I played rugby there at Angelo State and lived in the rugby house. And that's actually where I picked up the guitar at 19 and started messing around with it. And I was telling somebody the other day, I said, you know, I was drinking whiskey at like, you know, 8 in the morning trying to write songs because that's what I thought songwriters did. And then I found out I was a better whiskey drinker than a songwriter. So I ended up putting it down for a little bit.
Well, I think that's definitely changed. I don't know how you are as a whiskey drinker, but your songwriting is really, really good.
Yeah, man, I appreciate that.
No problem at all.
So I lived, you know, I moved around from college town to college town because I heard that's what Willie Nelson did back in the day. And ended up in Lubbock there for a while, for a lot of years. That's where I kind of cut my teeth, was in Lubbock, and played my first open mic and all that. And man, I've been up in Dallas area for about 9 or 10 years now.
Awesome. And so, you know, I think it's pretty funny in an ironic sense that you're number one on the country charts right now, because listening to your music, there's not just country there. There's a lot of different influences, a lot of different styles mixed into what you do. I mean, from one song to the next, I mean, there's several songs on the new record that you wouldn't, they're not country. They're either blues or they're jazzy, or, you know, there's some calypso influences in there as well. So, I mean, artistically, how do you identify yourself?
Man, that's been kind of the big thing. We're Texas roots, you know, Texas roots, Americana. There's still like Don Williams, old steel guitar player, man, plays steel guitar on all my songs, but he sees the vision, you know, and all those guys that recorded on my albums, man, they get the vibe and the vision of what I want to do, and the producers as well, man. I mean, those dudes are awesome. Matt Nolan, he actually was on the road with John Fogerty for like 7 years.
Wow.
Playing keyboard, and that dude's just a genius, man. Like, I know you always hear people saying, that guy's a genius. That dude's a legitimate, like, music genius. And then Chuck Floyd, he was actually under Clint Black's label. He wrote for Blacktop Records for like 8 years. So, wow. I mean, these guys have been in it, you know, for a while, and they just kind of believed in what I did, and man, they caught the vision. So, it's been a blessing, man. Yeah,
that team's really important, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. You know, and that's kind of been it, because, you know, we don't have investors like a lot of guys. We're independent. We don't have a label, so we're just kind of, you know, I've picked up odd jobs for a long time to make ends meet while I could also do music. And now we're finally getting to a point, man, where it's just I can just concentrate on music. So that's really great.
Yeah, and that's the beauty of Texas in general, really, is the independent nature and freedom of music here. And, you know, as a fan, it's refreshing to be able to hear that freedom kind of dripping off of the artists here. You know, so I got a little scared there for a minute when you were telling me about a major label signing earlier.
Oh, yeah, man. Like, no, we, you know, it was actually cool. And man, I think I missed that last question about the influences. I'm sorry about that. I grew up listening to everything, you know, from my brother brought home a rap album one time, so Mix-a-Lot, back in like the, you know, early 80s, and we loved it. And my dad called me and my brother in the truck, and he said, I'm going to show y'all some good music. And he drove us around listening to Alice Cooper and Jerry Jeff Walker. Wow. And my dad's an old rocker, not old, man, but he's a rocker from back in the day. So, you know, we took him and my mom to like a Marilyn Manson, Alice Cooper concert, and, you know, we just kind of, we like everything, man. Frank Sinatra, I grew up with Sinatra and Dino and Jerry Vale and Glenn Miller Orchestra, all kinds of Ray Price, Merle Haggard, just all classic country, Dwight Yoakam, you know, Gary Stewart.
That's amazing.
All them guys. So like all those influences, man, like, I can feel it in my music, and I don't really know what to call it. But going back to that later. Does that creep into your songwriting too? Like when you're sitting down and really creating the music? Man, I think so. I think that's the only thing I can really pinpoint is that, man, just from listening to so many different genres and Motown and stuff throughout the years growing up, I think you're automatically influenced, whether you know it or not, just from songs you like and stuff growing up, you know.
Yeah, how often do you sit back when you're listening to the finished product and you hear something in there that you didn't even know existed until after you kind of listen to it back?
Yeah, dude, with my music, every day. Just about, you know, like I ask because I love turning off my vocals, man. As soon as I can, I turn off my vocals and just listen to the band because those guys are amazing, you know. And there's like I told them going into this deal, man, there's like hidden kind of stuff, like almost Pink Floyd-esque kind of stuff. And I had on there. There's a song called The Runaround on Suits Me that the lead part, there's not really a huge lead part, but you hear like some wind whispering stuff. And I had them go back in at the end. And if you're sitting in a room with surround sound, man, and it's called The Runaround, so that lead part just starts going in circles around your head, you know, if you're sitting in a room with surround sound. Yeah,
the Suits Me album is definitely a musical journey for sure. And if you're musically bipolar like I am, like you are apparently with all of these, you know, favorite listeners, and man, I'll tell you, it is a journey from one song to the next, just listening to different styles of music and hearing the different influences throughout your life. It's like Wolf Call, you know. The instrumentation in that song is so cutting edge. It's, you know, if I didn't watch the video, I wouldn't know there was a banjo in that song. Just the way the banjo is played, it's so different.
Yeah, man, and like Chuck, he sat down and just picked, and he don't even play banjo, man, but he just like picked it up and was like, man, we need some of this on here, and messed around with it for like 10 or 15 minutes, and then that little lick came out, and Matt was like, dude, I love that, so they put it in, you know.
Yeah, it's crazy good. And then, I mean, on top of that, you have the steel in that song, and again, if you weren't really listening, then you wouldn't know it was a steel. It felt more like a lead guitar throughout the song.
Yeah,
it's just, so where is that coming from? Is that from your mind, or is that from a collaboration standpoint?
That is Russ Paul, and he's a legend, man, up in Nashville. But it's all, you know, when I walk in and tell the guys, like, man, my kind of vibe is laid back and feel good, like I tell them to picture themselves in a T-top, man, with the top off, driving, you know, through down the highway in some white sands. You know, I just love that vibe of everything, and you know, and I also love coastal stuff too, man. Like that's also, we love going to the ocean, and we actually just got back from Corpus Christi late last night, but that's where we did our last leg of the radio tour, and man, we got to take my kids to the beach for the first time. But
wow, that's awesome.
That was a big deal, you know.
So what does the family think of Dad being number one right now?
Man, you know, my daughter, she's 2.5, and my son is 8 months old. So
okay,
she heard me on the radio for the first time, and man, she goes, Daddy Radio. And
awesome.
Dude, I got choked up, man. Not gonna lie. I was like, she gets it. You know, she actually understands that Dad's on the radio, and so that was a proud dad moment, you know. And
makes it all worth it, doesn't it?
Man, it does. It really does. Yeah. And
so what's the balance like for you being a gigging musician and, you know, trying to be a family man as well? That's got to be difficult.
Yeah, it's crazy. I started off this radio tour about 6 or 7 weeks ago, and man, I went 5 days without seeing my kids, and I said I would never do that again.
Yeah.
so we do the following week, we go on the next leg, and man, the boys back there yelling, milk, you know, just screaming and crying, and I'm like, what the hell was I thinking? And then, man, we get to the hotel, and dude, things settle down, and man, you got that 2 hours before bedtime, and I'm sitting there getting to play with them in the hotel, you know. But I think this last week was the straw that broke the camel's back. My daughter, after 2 nights of being in this hotel in Corpus, walks up to the front door and starts pulling on the door handle saying, "I want to go home."
So she's probably not going to be a touring musician anytime soon.
Man. It's kind of like my dad didn't want us in the grocery store business because he spent a lot of years and 80 hours a week when we were little, and so we weren't allowed to work in grocery stores whenever we were in high school or whatever. And so I'm wondering, like, I love music and I would love for them to be songwriters and stuff, but I definitely want them to see the non-glamorous side of it and how much work that a lot of people don't see actually goes into it.
Right. And man, if you're listening out there, you just don't understand how much work is involved in the music industry. These guys, especially the independent guys like yourself, I mean, you guys are putting in more than 80 hours a week. And if you add everything all together, so very little payoff. So, really your payoff is in passion, and usually that's enough, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, man, it's them peaks and valleys. Like you go on a drought for a couple of months with just kind of the same old thing, and then all of a sudden you get a phone call or an email or just something that really picks you up, man, and puts you back on top of the mountain, like a
Dean Dillon song. Yeah.
Yeah, dude. It was like 5 years ago, we came out with the Suits Me album, and we were stoked about it. That's kind of when we first caught the vibe of everything. And I was sleeping, and I had this song that popped in my head in my sleep, this vibe that was going on, and I was in a dream. I was in suits, and there was big marquee and everything. So I woke up out of my sleep. I went to the living room, and I wrote this song in an hour called "Shouldn't Be Doing This," and it was a super vibey tune. Well, then I was saving up and went and bought some suits and striped suits, and we welded a big 250-pound marquee that I just started traveling around with, and kind of I carried through with the vision that I saw in my sleep. And man, a year after that, I get a phone call from Bill Ham, he was the manager of ZZ Top, Clint Black, Mark Chestnut, just one of the most legendary managers, right? Just cool cat. And I describe him as like, man, the Dulce Keith guy, the most interesting man in the world times 50. That's what Bill Ham was to me, And so he picked me up, man, and we started working and ran up the ladder and almost signed to a major deal out of California, and it didn't, like, we got to the very last and it just went away, and I still don't know what happened, but the main thing that I took away from it, man, was, I've been with my girlfriend for 12 years, and we had not gotten married, and she'd been with me through thick and thin, man, through the music industry, and so I asked her to marry me, and then we went and popped out a couple of kids, and because it kind of shook me out of whatever dream I was living in, and was like, man, you're not getting younger, and you wanted a family, and you still don't have that. And so, honestly, I don't know how much longer it would have been before we did that if I wouldn't have gotten that record deal. Or if I would have got it, then I don't know if all that would have fell into place.
Yeah, usually everything happens the way it's supposed to.
Yeah, man. I'm a total believer, brother.
Yeah.
So it was the most coolest experience. Like, the same guys that played at Carnegie Hall with Tim McGraw a week later, they were up on stage with me, like most of them, doing my showcase, man, for these labels and stuff. And so the whole experience was like, it was crazy. We we sold our car and sold almost everything we had, to throw the showcase on, and big learning experience.
That's awesome. And I know your image is another unique aspect to who Jerrod Medulla is, the pinstripe suits and all of that stuff. So that just kind of came to you in a dream?
Yeah, the suits did, but there was also some things leading up to that. Like when I was 19, I lived in Lubbock, and Gary Stewart was playing at the Midnight Rodeo there. And I've been telling the story, but all my buddies said, man, why you want to go see Gary Stewart? All he's going to do is get drunk and fall off stage. And I said, that's exactly why I'm going. And so I went up there, and, man, he came out in his suit and just looked sharp, and his band kicked in, and it sounded just like the record. And he started swinging that leg kind of like half as much as Elvis, I guess.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, he was vibing. And I was like, this is the coolest thing. I was like, I'm going to wear suits one of these days, you know. And also my family, it was a tip of the hat to my family from like the 40s and 50s. I just like that clean look. And I had done the hole in the jeans and pearl snaps and all that, you know, and I cowboyed on a ranch and all this other stuff. But
it doesn't seem, I can't see that with you.
I know,
like,
right?
Knowing who you are now.
So it's just growing, man. With life, you just grow and kind of go with it wherever it takes you, and that's just kind of what I do, man. I feel like I kind of fly by the seat of my pants and just kind of.
Do you feel like people mention that a lot?
Which part?
The wearing suits.
Yeah, well, and everybody calls them suits. It's just a striped suit, but man, that's the other thing. I've been talking to some really cool DJs, and that's been one of the most fun I've had in a long time, is getting to talk with guys like you and everything, and just gather thoughts and just about life in general and everything. And I talked to a really cool DJ, man, and he said, you know, he's been in the business since '57.
Wow.
He was 13 years old, hanging out with like Sam Cooke and James Brown, and had all these cool stories, man. And he said, you know, Medulla, he said sometimes in life, he said, you go against the grain. And he said, sometimes you got to pay the price for it. He said, no matter what it is, you will pay a price for it. And I think he was going towards my style of being kind of out of my own, you know, and doing the suits and the sound and vibe going on. And he said, but, you know, it pays off sometimes too. So, and he gave me this cool little grin. And I was like, man, I got goosebumps, you know. I was like, maybe it's happening, you know.
Well, yeah, man. I think any way that you can stand out, whether, you know, it's your music or your image or your songwriting or whatever it is, anything that sets you apart from anybody else is always, I don't see how that can be a bad thing unless it's, you know, going to jail or whatever.
Right.
But, you know, I think with you, it's the whole package, man. You know, it's the live show, it's the songwriting, it's everything mixed into one is kind of, you know, your vibe. You use the word vibe a lot, and I get that from you, especially through your music. But like if I'm watching Wolf Howl and if you're in cut off jeans with holes in it, man, it's not going to work as well for me from a visual sense, you know.
Right. I was like, man, I need some masks in here. I need some mannequins and fog machine. Give me more fog machine, you know.
Right, yeah.
You know, the guys that actually produced that video, man, they were on the same page, you know, with everything. So there was some things that got pretty dark in there for a little bit because they just went with it, you know.
Right.
And so I was like, hell, I ain't got nothing to lose. Let's go, guys. Let's do this.
Well, one thing I definitely wanted to talk to you about is with the two albums, they're completely different projects. And you had Suits Me, which we talked about a little bit, but the current record is Speakeasy, and there was some time in between these records. What was happening in between the two projects?
So Speakeasy came out first.
Okay.
And it was like, man, we released one song off of it called Stay the Night, and it went to number 6 on the charts.
Okay.
And so we were hitting radio hard. We were going for it. Things were starting to really take off, and it was creating a buzz, you know. And then all of a sudden we got picked up by that management company, and we stopped everything, and because we started going for the major deal.
Okay.
And so there was a ton of songs that didn't get released off that album, and so, you know, there was gigs that I had that I canceled, and I stayed home for 2 or 3 months and wrote like 40 songs, and had to show the label that I could keep on writing songs like I was. Okay. And so we just started popping them out. So what we were doing was actually, I guess, writing songs for the Suits Me album, and so that's actually where all the time went, you know, was throwing on that showcase. And that took 1.5 years, 2 years, but in that time things slowed down from the buzz that was being created. And so that was kind of bittersweet, you know.
Yeah, I was going to say, looking back at that now, do you wish you were releasing music during that time?
No, I don't. A part of me says yes, but then I look at my life And I'm like, man, everything had to be that way.
Yeah.
Everything had to lead to where it is today, or else none of it would have happened. And so the big thing I feel blessed about is the experience and the guys I got to hang out with and the musicians that I played with. And like, it was the big deal, you know, it was the big major deal. And, I think as a confidence thing, cause I don't have that ego, I guess, where I walk around going, man, I'm good. I'm
right.
really good. You know, I don't have that. It actually, we did a cover of I'm on Fire, and Bruce Springsteen got a hold of my radio promoter and told him it was one of the best renditions of I'm on Fire he had heard.
Wow.
And that's when I kind of got a little like, man, maybe I'm not so bad. You know, if the boss says I'm all right, then I'm okay, you know.
Yeah, that's okay. Yeah.
Yeah, all right. And so there's been like little cool things like that happening in my life, but I've never landed the big deal or you know, nowadays a lot of people are doing independent labels and just have great investors investing in them, and that's kind of, you know, a new way of making it, you know, nationwide and stuff. And so now, man, I'm just in it for the ride. These kids that I got and my family, I just love them, you know, and I love my friends. And like, I just try to, with that label thing that happened, I call it getting slapped by the pimp end of life. And, you know, and so you get knocked down to your knees, man. And then you think you can't go lower, and then you're on your belly. And it's just beating the hell out of you. And
it makes for good music, though, doesn't it?
Yeah, dude. And sometimes it takes that to kind of wake your ass up a little bit and go, hey, man, those roses are pretty over there. I'm going to go smell them. You know, I'm glad to be alive and share this life with a lot of people. So, you know, so that's kind of where I'm at right now.
That's awesome. And you talked a little bit about Shouldn't Be Doing This a little bit earlier. Now, this is a song that, you know, it hasn't been released as a single yet, to my knowledge, but a lot of people are talking about it.
Yeah, this was the one that was heard by the management company, and we were about to release this thing nationwide, and we never got a chance to. And I actually want to go back into the studio, re-record it, because I got some ideas and some vibes that I want to put to it for the next album, and we may try to release it nationwide.
Awesome. And so we are going to show our audience an acoustic version of the song. Now tell us a little bit about the song, because I'm pretty sure you wrote this one, right? Yeah,
this was the one that I heard in my sleep, and I was having that dream, and this was the song going on in the background that I was telling myself I got to wake up and write this, and went to the living room, wrote it in an hour, and this song, I guess, changed my life.
That's awesome. And then it's basically a song about, you know, kind of, I guess, you know, love that you shouldn't be pursuing. Let's put it that way.
I actually, because everything I write, 99% of the stuff I write comes from true stories. And so this actually the words from this actually came from a true story of an artist that I knew back in the day who was doing some things, and I actually wrote it about him during that time.
That's awesome. So guys, go ahead.
But you know, on his defense, his other half was out there doing some things too. So, you know, it's not like it's not talking bad about him. It's just that's where he was at in his life.
Right, and hey, we've all been there. At one time or another, we've all done stuff we shouldn't have done. and that's why the song is so relevant. And, you know, most everybody who hears it is going to relate to it for sure.
Very cool.
I hope you do end up releasing this to radio, because I'd love for more people to hear it.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, it's a great song. I can't wait to see what you do to it too, because hearing it acoustic is really cool. But I also hear your songs and the vibes and different instrumentation you put into your songs, and so yeah, I'm looking forward to hearing it when you're done with it for sure.
Hell yeah, man! I'll send you one of the first copies.
I appreciate that, man. But out there to our audience for the first time, this is Shouldn't Be Doing This. It's completely acoustic from Jerrod Medulla. Y'all check it out.
Door swings open, baby, you coming through. Your body's rocking and is working for you just right. You catching everybody's eye. All fixed up in what you're wearing around. Somebody told you I was back in town for the night, so I know what's really on your mind. There's something in your kiss. We shouldn't be doing this. It's been so long since the last time we met. My body's restless and I can't forget about you. Well, I've tried so hard, baby, it's true. There's something in your kiss. We shouldn't be doing this. Yeah. Moving closer and I'm feeling the heat. Your eyes are glowing and you're ready to be real close. Under shades nobody knows. There's something in your kiss. We shouldn't be doing this. There's something in your kiss. We shouldn't be doing this. Hey.
All right, so we are back once again. It's episode 280, which means we have about 20 episodes left in season 3. Just a brief announcement. Our season finale, episode 300, is going to be live from the Texas Country Music Awards and Will Rogers Auditorium at the beginning of November. We have a few confirmed names for that show. We've got Curtis Grimes, Bree Bagwell, Brandon Ryder, Katie Lynn, and it's looking like Doug Supernaw is going to make an appearance on that show as well.
Oh, wow.
So, definitely want to tune into that. That's going to be our huge celebration, episode 300, the culmination of season 3. We're super stoked about that. So, Jerrod, if folks are hearing about you for the first time, where would you send them to follow along with your journey?
Man, it would be definitely on, there's Facebook, Twitter. I'm so bad at social media, but I'm about to like really focus and keep people involved with where I'm going and stuff, or informed, I guess, of where I'm going. And so, all those outlets, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, I guess Snapchat, and my website, JerrodMedulla.com. Right now we're doing a lot of private house parties, house concerts. And so that's kind of what we got going on. So there's not a lot of dates that show up on the website, but the further along we go, we'll be adding a lot more public.
Well, that's okay. If people want to hear you, they can create their own date by hiring you for a house concert.
Man, that's perfect. I'm so glad you said that. I am for hire, man.
Absolutely. So I'm going to spell that out for folks out there. It's JerrodMedulla.com. And you guys can go there. It's a very well-built webpage. It's got links to his social media there. You can also find links to his music. There's a contact link on there as well. A great biography if you want to learn more about Jerrod and what he's about. Just an awesome biography. It helped out a lot with my interview today. We've been really, really stoked to talk with Jerrod today. Again, congratulations on your first #1 hit on the Texas radio charts.
Very cool, man. I appreciate that.
No problem. If you guys are tuned in to us for the first time, we definitely want to thank everybody out there for spending some time with us today with new #1 artist in Texas, Jerrod Medulla. Again, make sure you're following along with everything he has going on. Click the like button on Facebook. That is the best way you can support an independent artist, and it's completely free for you guys to do that. So hit like. Important stuff, guys. If you're wanting to follow along with everything we have going on, you can find us on all social medias at ETX ROCKS. We're also on YouTube, iTunes, iHeartRadio, Spotify, pretty much anywhere you can find podcasts. If you are listening to the audio version of this, you can also find us on YouTube, where we have completely live, high-definition video for your visual enjoyment as well. And make sure you're hitting subscribe on YouTube. That'll help us out a lot. Wherever you're listening or watching, hit the follow button. Again, completely free, and it helps us out more than you could possibly know. We also just launched a brand new webpage. You can find that at www.etxrocks.show. We have over 11,000 hours of live music content right there at your fingertips. So if you're a music fan and you haven't heard about us yet, check out the webpage. You'll be busy for a while. And as we always say on the ETX Rock Show, we want to thank everybody out there for always supporting live music of all genres and all styles. And don't ever forget,
ETX rocks.
From
That's
the
right.
unknown to the stars, from the couch to the car, from the unheralded and the unheard, to the legends and beyond, it's where we all belong. Yes, this is where it all starts. From every genre, from every plane, this is where the music's played. So tune right in, won't you bring a friend? This is where